911, what's your emergency?
They're here. They got in. I can't.
In every case, there are facts the public is told. And then there are the details they bury, details that change everything. This is unheard evidence, where the truth refuses to stay hidden. For 12 years, this call sat buried in a police locker. No log, no chain of custody, just 28 seconds of terror and silence. Until now. Willow Creek, Oregon, wasn't the kind of place that made headlines. A town of 2,400 souls, ringed by evergreen forests and misty hills, where everyone's cousin might show up at your 4th grade graduation or your funeral. It was the kind of place that felt safe because everyone knew every shadow, every porch light, every heartbeat after dark. The Willow Creek Ledger ran weekly features like Grandma Jean's pie recipes and community chicken barbecue. The post office doubled as a civic center. Friday nights, the high school bleachers shook with cheer. It was where Eli and Marlene Winters had belonged. For decades. Married for 40 years. Known. Respected. Trusted. The night, October 21st, 2010, 11 p.m., based on the 911 logs, neighbor statements, and property records. At 11:05 p.m., Marlene's daughter, Catherine, writes goodnight in a voicemail with no response. At 11:22 p.m., neighbors Mark and Heidi Lang hear the Winters dog barking aggressively, long, panicked howls. At 11:30 to 11:40 p.m., faint strains of classical music from the radio abruptly cut. At 11:47 p.m., the missing call plays from the Winters landline. Caller ID blocked. At 11:56 p.m., official 911 call from the Langs reporting bodies found inside. From police narratives and court transcripts, the windows appear intact. The blood is everywhere. Blunt force trauma the conclusion. But no valuables missing. Expensive jewelry and electronics untouched. No forced entry, making some suspect someone let them in. And the dog, locked in the pantry, unhurt. The victims, Eli and Marlene Winters, age 62 and 60. Eli, a Vietnam War veteran, operated a small machine shop, active in the local Rotary Club, described by neighbors as gentle, talkative, kindly, but with secrets, rumored to have taken life insurance policies for both him and Marlene, naming himself as beneficiary. Marlene, retired elementary school teacher, known for her math tutoring, annual bake sales, church bingo nights, loved classical music, painting landscapes, and hosting visiting grandkids on summer vacations. Together, charitable, present, loved. Their loss shook every corner of town and revealed only grief until the suppressed calls surfaced. Journalist Camille Morris, eventually narrator, tracked down dozens of neighbors, family members, and township employees over 2 years. Her notes formed the backbone of this reconstruction. Her interview with Mark Lang, a neighbor, he said, "That barking, it was like she was fighting for something, like she was trapped. But if it was her, I don't think she was the one who died instantly." In another interview with Patricia Green, local librarian, she said, "They were so kind. After school, I'd take big platters of soup. Marlene would say, 'Sweetie, you don't have to do that.' But she did. Always." But questions arose. Did Marlene really diffuse everything at home? Was she hiding fear? Investigator notes, read from blurred and redacted files. First Officer, Deputy Russ Hamilton, reports living room chaos, furniture overturned. Medical Examiner, Dr. Lisa Han, noted defensive wounds on both victims, but wounds different in intensity. Forensics assembled from kitchen and hallway. Police expected forced entry, didn't find it. A shot fired? No. An intruder's DNA? None. Murder weapons missing. Tracks too small. The case files lay dormant until someone opened the drawer and put the wrong record inside. In 2013, a young woman came forward, declining to give a name, claiming she overheard a heated phone call between Marlene and someone referencing the money issue. She said Marlene sounded frightened. She knew something was wrong. That statement was archived, but never pursued. Interviewed, anonymous neighbor narrated, "I heard Marlene crying on the phone a day before. She said, 'It is not business, it's betrayal. and hung up. That stuck with me. Why didn't police follow that? Weeks after the murders, Willow Creek residents traded stories like currency. Whisperer, Tyler Rusk, the drifter arrested, didn't belong here and didn't wash well. Rumormonger, Tamara Vance, later identified as suspect, was fired abruptly as caregiver, no explanation, 2 weeks before murders. Police Chief Hal Griggs canceled his vacation. Dispatcher Kenneth Doyle went missing. In Willow Creek, secrets didn't die quietly. They lingered, echoing in police whispers, in off-record reports, in tears shared over kitchen tables. In 2019, an anonymous letter arrives at the Willow Creek Legend newsroom. The call exists. They erased it. You won't see it, but you can hear it. Camille, the local reporter enthralled with vigilatory journalism, filed a FOIA request. First denied, then appealed. In 2022, she receives a flash drive labeled only incoming_UNK_23-1010.wav. What she hears is indistinct, grainy, but undeniable, human voices, urgent. Fear beyond terror, regret. Camille's notes, quoted in transcript. It sounded like remorse, a warning, a confession at 11:47 p.m. They never let a jury hear that voice. They never let a town hear the fear in it. And for 12 years, it remained an echo in the dark until someone decided to listen. The farmhouse where Eli and Marlene Winters were murdered had long gone quiet. Crime scene tape fluttered in the wind for days before vanishing altogether. By the time Halloween rolled around in Willow Creek, Oregon, the horror of that night had already begun to settle beneath layers of gossip, fear, and something stranger. Silence. A disturbing, suffocating silence. In the days after the murders, there were rumors, not just the usual town talk, but the kind that clung to corners. An odd sound in the distance that night. A second police cruiser that arrived but never reported in. A woman screamed that no one could place. But officially, it was simple. Eli and Marlene were found bludgeoned to death in their home. No sign of forced entry. No clear suspect. No eyewitnesses. And certainly no emergency call made from the house. That, at least, was a story. Until 9 years later, Camille Morris wasn't from Willow Creek. She was born in Portland, trained in Chicago, and spent years chasing what she called disappearing truths. By 2019, she had burned out covering police corruption cases and settled back in Oregon, freelancing for small independent outlets. That's when she received the letter. It was typed, unsigned, and postmarked locally. Check the dispatch log for the 21st of October 2010. Midnight. There was a 911 call. They erased it. You'll find nothing. But it's real. I heard it myself. Don't let them bury her. Camille had covered enough cases to know that anonymous tips usually led nowhere. But this one wouldn't let go of her. She pulled the case file, skimmed through the court records, and reviewed the trial of Tyler Rusk. Something didn't fit. There was too much noise, she said later in an interview. Too much left out. On January 3, 2020, Camille filed a Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, request with the Willow Creek Police Department, specifically asking for dispatch audio, call logs, and records from October 21, 2010, between 11:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. She was denied. The department cited missing or unavailable media due to archival limitations. Camille appealed, backed by the Oregon State Journalists Guild. The response took 8 months, but what she finally received was chilling. A USB stick, unlabeled, containing a single audio file, incoming_UNK_23-1010.wav. Camille played it once, then again, and again. She said it wasn't just what she heard, it was what she felt. Distorted static, faint breathing, a woman's voice gasping. Caller, they are here. They got in. I can't breathe. Shuffling noise. A low male voice says something unintelligible. Caller, whispering, if anyone hears this, tell them it wasn't an accident. Static surge. Faint scream. Then silence. There was no date stamp. No metadata. But the voice, soft, terrified, breaking, matched no one in the trial. Certainly not Marlene Winters. And the phrasing, "it wasn't an accident," was strange, as if she were trying to correct a narrative before it began. Camille shared the file with 2 former dispatchers in nearby towns. Both confirmed it sounded authentic, the radio codes, the static pulses, even the time signature humming in the background. But there was a problem. There was no record of any such call that night. The dispatcher on duty the night of October 21st, 2010, was Kenneth Doyle, a 19-year veteran of the department. According to public employment records, Doyle had resigned suddenly just 6 weeks after the murders. No disciplinary history. No public explanation. He moved out of state and dropped off the map. Camille tracked down his last known address, an apartment outside of Boise, Idaho. It had been abandoned for over a year. She filed multiple public record requests for his personnel file and was denied each time. She also discovered something else. Tamara Vance, a name that would later resurface in the case, had a brother who briefly worked in the same dispatch center in 2009. His employment file was scrubbed. Even local archives had no photo of him. The deeper Camille went, the more missing pieces she found. 3 weeks after Camille published a blog post teasing her findings, her laptop was remotely wiped. According to her friend and fellow reporter Daniel Cho, Camille had a cloud backup, but the primary machine had been encrypted and bricked. Daniel, she said someone was inside her system. Like, really inside, not just spyware. She thought they were watching her drafts in real time. A week later, Camille stopped answering her phone. Her last known message, posted on a private forum for investigative journalists, read, "If anything happens to me, the truth is on the backup. It's not just a call. It's the key." She wouldn't resurface publicly for almost a year. Camille Morris, Dispatches from the Edge, 2021. When Camille Morris opened the manila envelope postmarked December 17th, 2022, she wasn't expecting a flash drive. Inside was a single file, incoming_UNK_23-1010.wov. There was no accompanying note, no sender's address, only the faint scent of something like old smoke clinging to the paper. Camille didn't hesitate. She scanned the drive on a separate, isolated laptop she used only for FOIA-based research. No malware, no encryption. Just one audio file, 3 minutes and 19 seconds long. She listened once, then again, then she vomited in the sink. The voice on the recording wasn't clear at first. The line crackled with distortion, either environmental interference or deliberate degradation. A woman's voice whispered at first, but each replay revealed more. Caller, whispering they are here. They got in. I locked her. A third, something dragging across wood. Caller, sharper now no. I'm not going with you. You said it was over. Male voice, indistinct, inaudible. Caller, if anyone hears this, tell them it wasn't an accident. The call ends abruptly, not with a hang-up tone, but as if the connection had been manually severed from the other end. Camille called the Willow Creek dispatch center the next morning. "Hi," she said, disguising her voice slightly. "I'm following up on a public record request I filed last year for all 911 calls made on the night of October 21st, 2010. She heard the shuffle of papers, then the woman's voice. One moment. Click. Hold music. Then a click again. "Hi. Yes." So we did a full database search. There's nothing logged for that address, or from that time. Camille smiled grimly. She hadn't mentioned an address. Later that day, Camille reached out to Detective Lacey Muir, a former Willow Creek investigator now working private security in Portland. Muir had quietly resigned in 2015 after requesting access to sealed files in the Winters case. Camille met her at a diner off I-5. Rain lashed the windows, and Muir arrived in a dark hoodie, hands stuffed into pockets. "You're not recording this?" Muir asked. "No." "Good. Because if that tape exists, it wasn't supposed to. We were told to treat all anonymous tips as distractions, even if they referenced audio evidence. Especially then." Muir explained that dispatcher Kenneth Doyle had control over the communications terminal the night of the murders. His last login timestamp was 11:58 p.m., precisely 2 minutes after the first scream was reported. There was a redaction in the audit trail, Muir said, poking her coffee with a spoon. I know what a blank log looks like. This wasn't that. This had a burned hole in it. For the next 3 months, Camille would spend every free moment hunting down Doyle. The former dispatcher had retired suddenly in 2011, just months after the Winters murders, officially due to family relocation. But no one in his family had ever left town. Camille found a P.O. box in Klamath Falls linked to his name. A private rental trailer company had sent 3 invoices there in 2012. Then silence. She hired a local investigator. He called back 3 days later. Found him, he said. Alive. That's the thing. No death certificate, no DMV activity. But someone's using his old ham radio license out of a fire tower in Elk Ridge. Elk Ridge, where Tamara Vance's car was found. Camille Morris had been waiting for months. Her FOIA appeal had been kicked from department to department, and each reply came back colder than the last. No such file exists in the evidence log. The department has no record of a 911 call at that timestamp. This matter is considered closed. Yet here it was. No official watermark, no department seal. Just 43 seconds of audio and a mystery that made her skin crawl. Camille had listened to it 6 times in a row. On the 7th, she pulled out her phone and called a contact, Nikhil Devaney, a forensic audio engineer she'd worked with during a corruption expose 5 years earlier. They weren't close anymore, but this wasn't about friendship. I'm sending you something encrypted, she told him. Tell me what you hear. Within 36 hours, she had his answer. Camille, this isn't a prank call. This is real. The voice is panicked, trauma-affected, probably mid-30s female. But there's something else, background layering. It's like 2 audio environments competing, almost like a mix or a patch. A patch? She asked. As in, this file's been altered. Not edited, not cropped. Altered. This file shouldn't exist, and yet here it is. Camille had the file scrubbed through a metadata recovery tool. Here's what she found. Original timestamp, October 21st, 2010, 11:55 and 37 seconds p.m. Device, unknown dispatch intake server, redacted ID hash. Created by K.Doyle_station02. Modified by systemadmin_no. Kenneth Doyle, the dispatcher on duty that night. Retired in 2011 without warning. Record showed no mention of misconduct, but a deeper dive revealed a closed internal investigation from January 2011. The cause? Misfiled audio evidence. No details listed. Camille's hands were shaking. Interview, Camille Morris archival audio. At that point, I knew what I had wasn't just a forgotten file. It was buried. Someone intentionally buried it. And I couldn't trust anyone inside the department, not even my usual sources. She booked a hotel room under a different name. Her personal laptop went into cold storage. She moved everything to an encrypted drive she carried on her at all times. And she got paranoid, because she had to. In July 2022, Camille emailed 3 journalists and a podcast producer she had worked with before. All received the same file, but none were able to open it. The password Camille sent hours later never arrived. Her phone stopped accepting calls. Her Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn accounts were deleted. By August, she had gone completely silent. Her apartment in Bend, Oregon, was found locked, keys inside, laptop wiped, external drive gone, no sign of forced entry, no foul play officially suspected. But those who knew her best said the same thing. Camille didn't disappear. She was erased. Do you think that Camille was truly silenced, or did she went into hiding out of fear? Comment below and share your thought. If this story stirred something in you, share it. Someone out there still remembers. And maybe, just maybe, the right eyes will see it. This is Unheard Evidence. Until next time, keep listening to the quiet.